A tiny girl pushed through armed cartel guards, dodging their hands like she'd done it 100 times. She stopped beside the man everyone feared, El Cazador, Medellin's deadliest lieutenant, and tugged his sleeve with shaking fingers. He turned, ready to kill whoever touched him. But when he looked down, he froze. A child. Thin. Dust on her face. Eyes too bold for her age. "My mom," she said. "Your men took her." For a moment, the entire courtyard went silent. Dogs stopped barking. Radios cut out. Even the guards lowered their rifles. Nobody touched El Cazador without dying. Nobody approached him without permission. Nobody confronted him with truth. And no child should have made it through the perimeter alive. El Cazador stared at her hand, still clutching his sleeve, as if he couldn't understand how she dared. Then he glanced at the guards. They avoided his eyes. They knew the consequences if they interfered. "¿Cómo entraste aquí?" he asked, quietly. "How did you get in here?" She lifted her chin, terrified. Yes, but standing like she had nothing left to lose. "They weren't watching the fence," she whispered. "I crawled." He didn't react, but something shifted in his chest. Kids weren't supposed to crawl under fences into cartel strongholds. Kids were supposed to be hidden, protected, forgotten. He'd been one once barefoot in the slums, dodging bullets long before he could read. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sophia." Her voice trembled only at the end. "And your mother?" Her lower lip quivered. "Lucia. She was taken last night. They said she owed money, but she doesn't. I followed them. I saw the truck. It had your eagle symbol. Everyone said it was your men." The guards stiffened. El Cazador's symbol wasn't used without his order. If someone grabbed a woman under his name, someone was playing a dangerous game. El Cazador knelt so he could look Sophia in the eyes. His movements were slow, calm the way predators moved when deciding whether to strike or spare. "Why come to me?" he asked. "Because they listen to you," she said. "And I need someone who can kill the people who took her." That sentence pulled oxygen from the air. El Cazador studied her face, not searching for lies, but searching for how much truth a child could carry without breaking. Sophia wasn't fearless. She was desperate enough to push past it. He stood, towering over her. "Bring her water." He ordered the nearest guard. No one moved. He repeated it softer this time, more dangerous. "Agua, ahora." The guards scattered instantly. Sophia didn't thank him. She wasn't here for kindness. She was here because she believed he was the only monster who could hunt bigger monsters. El Cazador's second-in-command, Rivas, stepped beside him. "Jefe, we didn't take any woman last night. Not under your order." "Yes," El Cazador said without taking his eyes off Sophia. "Which means someone wants me blamed." Rivas lowered his voice. "What do you want to do with the girl?" El Cazador didn't answer right away. He watched her sip water with both hands, shaking from exhaustion. Someone had snatched her mother, forged orders, and taken a dangerous risk. He leaned toward Rivas. "Find out who used our trucks, and check the cells. Maybe some idiot grabbed her without logging it. But the girl," El Cazador cut him off, "she stays with me." Sophia blinked up at him, confused. "Does that mean you'll help me?" He didn't smile. He didn't kneel again. He simply tilted his head, assessing her the way he assessed men he might recruit, measuring spine, resilience, instinct. "I will find out who took your mother," he said, "and why they want me blamed." Her shoulders sagged with relief so raw it almost hurt to look at. "But listen carefully, Nina," he warned. "If you stay near me, you stay close. No running, no wandering. Understand?" Sophia nodded fast. He turned to walk inside the compound, then paused and looked back over his shoulder. "Come, we start now." She ran to catch up, clutching his sleeve again without thinking, and again, no one stopped her. Because now she walked beside the most dangerous man in Medellin. And whether he admitted it or not, he had already taken responsibility. He just didn't know that the kidnapping was only the first move. That Sophia's mother wasn't the target. And that bringing the girl to his side was exactly what the traitors wanted. But he would discover it soon enough. He always did. Lucia woke with her cheek pressed against cold concrete. Her wrists burned where the zip ties bit into her skin. A single bulb flickered overhead, casting a sick yellow circle across the floor. The air tasted like rust and old blood, the smell of a room used for things that ended badly. She tried to sit up, but her legs were bound at the ankles. Panic crawled up her throat. "Sophia," she whispered. "Dios. Sophia, please be safe." A metal door screeched open. Footsteps. 2 men entered, one tall and clean-cut, the other shorter, jittery, wearing a baseball cap pulled low. "About time she woke," the short one muttered. Lucia shut her eyes, pretending to still be unconscious. The tall man crouched beside her. He smelled of expensive cologne, not the cheap spray most street-level sicarios used. This man worked higher. "Stop pretending," he said. "Your breathing changed." Lucia opened her eyes. He smiled without warmth. "Good morning. Where's my daughter?" she rasped. "Safe," the tall man said. "For now." Her heart stuttered. "What do you want?" she demanded. "Information." "I don't have anything." He grabbed her jaw, squeezing hard enough to hurt. "Everyone has something." The door closed again behind them. That meant there were only 2 inside. 2 was better than 3. Lucia cataloged their positions, their postures, their habits. She wasn't a fighter, but fear made the mind sharp. The short man paced. "This is stupid, Hermano. Cazador's gonna notice she's gone. We shouldn't have taken her. The order was clear." "Shut up!" the tall one snapped. Lucia's breath caught. Cazador. The name alone was enough to choke a room. The most feared lieutenant in Medellin. If his orders were involved. But she knew something these men didn't. El Cazador had never seen her in his life. Whatever reason she'd been taken, it wasn't because of him. The tall man leaned close again. "You worked at the pharmacy. You saw things, heard things." "I clean floors," she spat. "I don't hear anything except customers complaining about headaches." He laughed a sharp, humorless bark. "You think we don't know what the pharmacy was used for? Roots were being laundered through it. Someone is leaking information to the DEA. Someone close to you." "I don't know anything about..." The tall man slapped her so hard she saw sparks. The short man winced. "Come on, man. She doesn't look like someone who knows anything." "That's what makes her useful," the tall one replied. "Her family is the leverage." Family. Lucia froze. Her brother had been missing for weeks. The tall man spotted the recognition in her eyes. "Ah, there it is." She cursed herself silently. He stood, brushing dust from his knees. "We'll try this again in a few hours." Agent Navarro is getting impatient. Navarro, a government name. A DEA connection. Her stomach twisted. Was this bigger than cartel rivalry? Was someone inside the DEA feeding orders directly to rogue cartel soldiers? The tall man grabbed the short one's shoulder. "Come on. We need to check the trucks before we move." They stepped to the door. The tall man paused, glancing back. "Oh, one last thing." He grinned smugly. "That daughter of yours. She's probably crying for you right now. Shame. Kids don't last long alone in Medellin." Lucia lunged, screaming, but her bonds held her to the floor. The door slammed. Silence swallowed the room. She pressed her forehead to the concrete, shaking. "Please, Sophia, stay hidden. Stay alive." Then a sudden noise made her lift her head, the soft scrape of metal sliding. Not from the door, from the vent near the ceiling. A voice, a whisper floated through the grate. "Mama?" Lucia's heart stopped. No, impossible. "Sophia?" she breathed. "Mama? I found him. The man they fear. He's going to help us." Lucia's blood ran cold. If her daughter had gone to them to Cazador, then everything was spiraling far faster than she could control. "Sophia, listen to me," she whispered urgently. "Don't stay near those men. Don't trust them. Don't..." But the vent went silent. A bootstep echoed outside the door. Lucia's stomach dropped. Her daughter was inside the liar's den, walking beside the wolf himself. She pressed her bound hands together, forcing her breath to steady. If she wanted to get out, if she wanted Sophia to have any chance she had, to think clearly, and she had to escape. Even if it killed her. El Cazador didn't pace. He stalked slow, silent, coiled like a jaguar, deciding whether to pounce or rip apart the whole jungle. Sophia kept close behind him, clutching the hem of his jacket like a lifeline. Every guard they passed looked away instantly, not at him but at her, as if the idea of a child beside their lieutenant made them question reality. Inside the operations room, maps littered the walls. Radios crackled. Cigarette smoke curled under the ceiling fans. Rivas stood over a table, jaw tight, staring at surveillance notes. El Jefe is here, someone whispered. The room snapped upright. El Cazador didn't acknowledge anyone. He walked straight to the table, eyes on the map. Show me the trucks. Rivas pushed a folder toward him. 3 vehicles left last night without signatures. 2 came back at dawn. 1 is still missing. Who authorized their route? Rivas shook his head. No one. Someone used your clearance codes. Sophia's fingers tightened around Cazador's jacket. He didn't look down, but he let her keep holding on. Anyone see who was behind the wheel? He asked. Only one witness, Rivas said. Gatekeeper swears he saw a man with your jacket, your insignia. He assumed it was you. Cazador's jaw flexed once. He assumed wrong. The room went still. Rivas cleared his throat. Jefe, there's something else. One of the trucks had a partial plate recorded by street cameras. He slid a blurry printout across the table. This route heads north, toward the hills. The hills, where old cartel safe houses hid beneath abandoned farms, where rogue factions often regrouped. Cazador tapped the map with the fingertip. These men, they knew exactly where to hide. Rivas nodded. Inside job. He didn't reply. Instead, he grabbed a red marker and circled the valley outside the city. Then he stabbed the marker onto a dot, an isolated 1-story building half buried in brush. That one, he said. Rivas blinked. Jefe, that's one of yours. A holding site from years ago. Nobody's used it since I shut it down, Cazador said. Which is why they assumed I wouldn't look there. The room buzzed with quiet dread. Sophia tugged his jacket gently. Is that where my mama is? He looked at her for a long moment. Really looked, then nodded once. She swallowed. Hard. He turned to Rivas. Get me exact heat signatures. I want to know how many are inside. We can mobilize a full team. No. The word was final. Sharp as a blade. A full team makes noise, Cazador continued. And they want noise. They want confusion. They want me to send an army so they can stage something bigger. Rivas frowned. Bigger than kidnapping a civilian? Cazador capped the marker. This isn't about her. She's bait. Someone wants me off balance. Rivas hesitated. And the girl? What do we do with her while we investigate? Cazador didn't answer immediately. Sophia stood straighter, chin lifted like a soldier preparing for orders. I'm going with you. No, Cazador said instantly, her lips pressed together. She's all I have. He exhaled slowly, the kind of breath that came from a man who'd killed 100 people, and yet somehow had no defenses against a child's voice. You stay with me, he said, but you follow my steps. You speak only if I ask. You move only when I say. She nodded, relief cracking her face for the first time. Rivas whispered sharply, Jefe, that's insane. She'll get you killed. Or worse. Cazador's stare shut him up. Then the radio on the table crackled. A guard's voice sounded urgently. Patron, we found something outside the north fence. You're gonna want to see this yourself. Cazador grabbed the radio. What is it? A man, alone, kneeling, said he came to deliver a message. From who? The guard hesitated. He says he works for your brother. The words detonated inside the room. Sophia's eyes widened. You have a brother? Cazador didn't answer, because his brother had been dead for 5 years. At least, that's what he'd believed. Bring the messenger to the courtyard, Cazador ordered. No, the guard said. Sir, he refuses to come inside. Says if anyone touches him, he'll blow himself up. The room erupted in alarmed voices. El Cazador, the guard continued, voice trembling. He wants to talk to you. Only you. And he says the woman we're looking for is still alive, but not for long. Sophia's hand slipped into Cazador's again. He didn't pull away. He turned toward the door and said only one thing. Prep the vehicles. I'm going to meet him. Jefe Rivas tried again. Cazador cut him off. If someone is using my dead brother's name, I need to know why. He stepped into the sunlight, Sophia beside him, her small shadow swallowed by his. As they crossed the courtyard, the guards parted like water. At the northern gate, a lone figure knelt in the dirt, hands on his head. a vest of explosives strapped across his chest. Sweat dripped down his face. His voice shook. El Cazador, they told me you'd come. Cazador stood a few meters away, unreadable. Who sent you? He asked. The man lifted his chin. His eyes were terrified, but underneath the fear, there was something else. Recognition. They said to tell you, the man whispered, that your brother is alive. Cazador's blood turned cold. The man swallowed. And he's the one who ordered the woman taken. Sophia's hand clamped around his. Lucia had been kidnapped, not because of money, not because of cartel business, but because of him, something from his past returning like a ghost. Cazador stepped closer, voice low and lethal. If my brother is alive, why send you? The man's lip trembled. He said this is the only way you'd believe him. Why target the woman? The messenger's eyes flicked toward Sophia, and that was when Cazador understood. Not bait, not leverage, a message. For your sins, the man whispered. He wants to take from you what he lost. Before Cazador could respond, the man moved his thumb toward the detonator strapped to his vest. Sophia gasped. Cazador launched forward. The courtyard erupted. A flash, a roar, a wave of dust and fire. Cazador shielded the girl with his body, throwing them both behind a cement barrier as the explosion ripped through the ground where the messenger had knelt. Smoke swallowed the world. Sophia coughed, clinging to him. He held her tight, jaw clenched, eyes burning not from smoke but from fury. Someone wanted retaliation. Someone wanted him unbalanced. Someone wanted the child dead, which meant the kidnapping was no longer a mission. It was personal, and if his brother truly lived, then the past he buried was coming back for blood. The explosion still echoed through the compound. When Cazador rose, dust rolling off his jacket, Sophia coughed into his chest, tears streaking grime down her cheeks, hands gripping him as if letting go meant death. He placed a steady hand on her back. Respira, Niña. Breathe. Guards sprinted across the courtyard, weapons drawn, eyes wide with panic. Rivas shoved through them, face pale. Jeffe, what the hell happened? We heard... Cazador cut him off with a raised hand. The messenger's dead. Bring the remains to the lab. I want fingerprints, DNA, whatever the blast didn't erase. Rivas stared at the scorched crater where the man had knelt. Do you think he was telling the truth? Cazador didn't answer immediately, but in his chest, something old began to stir, something he'd buried years ago. That voice, Cazador murmured. The way he said my brother's name, he wasn't lying. Rivas lowered his tone. Jeffe, your brother died in the Quesito raid. You identified the body yourself. Yes. Cazador looked toward the hills. And now I'm wondering who it was I buried. Silence fell. Even the guards stopped whispering. Sophia tugged lightly on his sleeve. Your brother, is he bad? Cazador hesitated. He should have told her no. He should have softened the truth, but he had never been a liar. He was the worst man I ever knew, he said softly, and the only person I ever feared. Sophia's fingers tightened around his jacket. Rivas stepped closer. Jeffe, if this is true, then we're dealing with someone who knows everything about you. Your routes, your codes, your safe houses. Cazador nodded once. We move now. Move where? Rivas asked. Cazador pointed to the map burned into his memory, that hidden safe house in the hills, half forgotten, half buried. The girl's mother is alive, he said, and she's being held in that valley. Rivas frowned. We don't know that for sure. Cazador's eyes sharpened. Yes, we do. That messenger died terrified, but he didn't lie. Someone's playing a game they think I've forgotten how to win. Rivas swallowed. He'd seen Cazador angry. He'd seen him cold. But this was different. This was controlled, calculated fury. Almost surgical. Cazador turned to Sophia. You stay close. You don't run. You don't speak unless I tell you. Understood? She nodded rapidly. Good. He headed toward the armory. Rivas chased after him. Jeffe, wait. If this is your brother, what does he want? Cazador stopped only long enough to load a magazine into his pistol. He wants me broken, he said. Piece by piece. He slammed the magazine home, and he started with the one thing he knew would make me move without hesitation. Rivas frowned. The mother? No. Cazador said, looking down at Sophia. The girl. Sophia blinked up at him. Me? Cazador didn't explain. Not yet. Not until he knew the full truth. He turned to Rivas. Prep 2 vehicles. Light teams. No heavy units, too much noise. 2? Who's riding in the second one? Cazador checked the safety on his rifle. You. You take the ridge road. We take the lower one. You think they'll try? Ambushing us? I'm counting on it. Rivas hesitated. Jeffe, if this really is your brother... Cazador's jaw flexed. He died a long time ago. Whatever he is now isn't family. With that, he stepped outside and nodded to Sophia. Then, stay behind me. She followed him into the dusk. The sky over Medellin had turned bruised purple, and the mountains loomed like dark teeth. As they walked toward the vehicles, Cazador noticed something he rarely felt. His hands were shaking. Not from fear. From memory. Diego. His brother. Alive. Or worse, something close enough. He exhaled slowly, forcing the tremor down. There was no room for old ghosts. Not when a woman was tied in a room waiting for salvation. Not when a little girl clung to him as if he were the only steady thing in the world. Sophia stopped suddenly and looked up at him. Will you really save her? He knelt, meeting her eyes. I don't make promises. Her face fell. But, he added, I don't fail missions either. Her breath hitched half fear, half hope. He stood and opened the door of the truck. Get in. She climbed in without complaint. As he rounded to the driver's side, Rivas jogged over one last time. Jeffe, before you go, there's something else. What? We searched the fence line. He held out a sealed evidence bag. Inside was a small silver chain with a tiny iron cross attached. Cazador's blood turned to ice. He knew that necklace. He'd seen it on his brother's neck every day of childhood. It was the only thing Diego had refused to take off, not even in the worst nights of war. He left it for you on purpose, Rivas said softly. Cazador closed his fingers around the bag. The metal felt like a ghost's touch. Without a word, he pocketed it and climbed into the truck. The engine roared to life. He glanced sideways. Sophia was staring out the window, little fists clenched, trying not to cry. He put the truck in gear. Hold on, he said, and they drove toward the hills, toward the safe house, toward the truth, and toward the man he once called brother. Night swallowed them as the convoy moved out, and halfway up the mountain road, unseen by either vehicle, a lone figure watched from the tree line, a man with the same eyes as Cazador, smiling, waiting. The road into the hills curled like a serpent, narrow and cracked, the kind of path where headlights vanished into the fog long before they could reveal what waited ahead. The higher they climbed, the colder the air grew, heavy with wet earth and eucalyptus. Cazador drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting near his rifle. Sophia sat beside him, small and silent, her feet barely reaching the edge of the seat. She watched the shadows as if expecting them to swallow the truck whole. Are we close? She whispered. Close, he said, but not close enough to relax. She nodded, hugging her elbows. The radio crackled. Rivas's voice came through. We're taking the ridge. 30 seconds behind you. No movement so far. Cazador scanned the tree line. There's movement. You're just not seeing it. Rivas paused. You think they're tracking us? I think this isn't an ambush, Cazador said quietly. It's an invitation. Sophia turned to him. From your brother? His jaw tightened. From someone who wants me thinking about my brother. She frowned, confused. Is he really alive? Cazador didn't answer because he didn't know. Because believing it would mean breaking open a part of himself he'd locked away long ago. Instead, he said, if he is, we'll deal with him. If he's not, someone else is pretending to be him. Sophia's eyes lowered. Why would someone pretend to be your family? Cazador didn't hesitate. To control me. She stared out the window again. The truck climbed higher. They passed an abandoned farm, the tin roof rusted, walls collapsing inward. Then a collapsed shrine, candles melted to puddles, offerings scattered. Signs of fear, signs of a community that knew something terrible had moved into the hills. Cazador slowed the truck. We're close, he murmured. Sophia leaned forward, gripping the dashboard. Through the fog emerged the silhouette of a building half-eaten by vines, the old safe house. Concrete walls, sheet metal roof, rusted barred windows. A single faint orange light flickered inside. Sophia trembled. "Is my mama in there?" "She was here," Cazador said, "but they might have moved her already." "Might?" "I'm not lying to you, Sophia. I don't know." Her small shoulders fell, but she nodded. The radio crackled again. "Jeffe, we have a visual on the safe house. No guards outside." "That's wrong. Too quiet," Cazador agreed. He killed the headlights. The truck crawled forward on momentum alone, rolling to a silent stop. Rivas's vehicle pulled up behind them, lights off as well. Cazador opened his door. Sophia clutched his sleeve. "You stay behind me," he said. She nodded, swallowing hard. Rivas jogged up, rifle raised. "Jeffe, I don't like this. No lookouts, no patrols, it feels a trap," Cazador finished. Rivas exhaled shakily. "Exactly." Cazador scanned the building. The windows were too clean. The dirt around the door freshly disturbed. The orange light flickered in a rhythm steady, deliberate, unnatural. A generator hum, maybe. Or something worse. He motioned to Rivas. "Cover the perimeter." Rivas signaled his 2 men. They split off toward the trees. Cazador knelt in front of Sophia. "You stay glued to me. Understood?" "Yes," she whispered. He took her hand. She held tight. They approached the door. Cazador placed a hand on the metal. Warm. Too warm. He pulled Sophia behind him and raised his weapon. He kicked the door inward. The hinges screamed. The room inside glowed orange from a single lantern sitting on a table. The air was thick with dust and something else. Something metallic. Something wrong. The safe house was empty. Completely empty. No guards. No equipment. No mother. Just one thing. On the table in the center of the room sat a radio, old, battered, tuned to a single frequency. Its red light blinked like a heartbeat. Cazador's stomach dropped. "Sophia," he said quietly. "Stay behind me." She pressed into his back. He approached the table slowly. Rivas appeared in the doorway behind him. "Jeffe, what is that?" Cazador didn't answer. He reached out and flicked the radio on. Static crackled. Then a voice. Calm, familiar, confident. "Brother." Sophia stiffened. Rivas's eyes widened. Cazador went completely still. The voice continued. "I see you found the girl. Good. Bring her closer. I want to speak to her." Sophia grabbed Cazador's jacket, terrified. Cazador stepped in front of the radio, blocking her. "No." A low chuckle drifted through the speakers. "Still protecting the weak. Some things never change." Cazador's voice came out low and lethal. "Where is the woman?" "Alive," the voice said. "For now." Sophia whimpered. "You touch her and—" Cazador growled. "You'll do what?" the voice interrupted. "Kill me? Again?" Rivas swallowed hard. "Jeffe, it sounds like—" "It's not him," Cazador snapped, though his voice trembled. The radio crackled. "You always were in denial," the voice said. "But denial won't save the woman. Or the girl. You want them alive? Then you'll follow the next instructions exactly." Cazador stepped closer until his breath fogged the metal casing. "Why involve the girl?" he demanded. A pause. A long, calculated pause. "Because she is the message." The radio went silent. Cazador's heart hammered. Before he could speak, the device crackled one more time. "This is only the beginning. I'll call again when you're ready to know the truth." The lantern flickered and the radio detonated. It wasn't a large explosion, but it was violent, sharp enough to blow the table apart and fling Cazador backward. He shielded Sophia instinctively, rolling his body over hers as splinters and hot metal rained down. Smoke filled the room. Rivas coughed and dragged Cazador to his feet. "Jeffe, are you?" "I'm fine," Cazador growled, pulling Sophia close and checking her face. No blood, no wounds, just shock. She threw her arms around his neck, shaking so hard he felt it in his bones. "It's okay," he whispered. "I've got you." But as he held her, something cold settled in his spine. Whoever was behind this, brother or not, was orchestrating every move. Sophia wasn't just a bystander, she was the centerpiece. And now the hunt had officially begun. Part 2, Section 2. The smoke from the explosion curled toward the rafters of the abandoned safe house, and the metallic taste of it clung to the back of Cazador's throat. He holstered his weapon only long enough to scoop Sophia into his arms. Her breathing was fast, shallow, terrified. Rivas steadied himself against the doorway, coughing hard. Jaffe, that wasn't meant to kill us. Cazador nodded grimly. It was meant to warn us. And to prove he knows our timing, Rivas added. He knew exactly when we'd walk through that door. Cazador's grip on Sophia tightened. He knows more than that. Outside, the forest felt colder. The fog had thickened into a heavy curtain, muffling even the sound of the insects. It was as if the hills themselves were holding their breath. Rivas and his men quickly swept the perimeter again, weapons drawn, flashlights cutting through the gloom. Nothing. No tracks. No heat signatures. Not even the imprint of a campfire. Whoever set the trap moved like a ghost. Sophia tugged at Cazador's sleeve weakly. Was that your brother? He didn't answer, immediately couldn't. His pulse was too loud in his ears. The voice on the radio had hit him like a bullet. A voice he hadn't heard in years. A voice he'd buried and sworn he'd never face again. But ghosts don't stay buried in Columbia. Not in the mountains. Not in the cartel world. Not in his life. Finally, he said, I don't know, but I'll find out. Sophia leaned her head against his shoulder, exhausted. Rivas jogged over, breathing hard. Jeffy, you need to see this. Cazador followed him behind the safe house, past a line of broken concrete blocks and a wall overgrown with moss. Rivas pointed to the ground. Cazador saw it immediately. A single footprint. Not one from his men. Not one from him. Fresh. Deep. Deliberate. But that wasn't the part that chilled him. Beside the footprint, pressed into the mud, was a symbol carved with the tip of a knife, a tiny triangle with a line through the center. Cazador froze. Sophia frowned. What is that? Rivas swallowed. La marca del resurgido. Sophia looked up. What does it mean? Cazador didn't want to explain it. Not to her. Not yet. But she deserved the truth. It means, he said slowly, that someone who is supposed to be dead has come back. The air seemed to drop 10 degrees. Sophia shivered. Your brother? Cazador closed his eyes briefly. Years ago, his brother Mateo had carved that exact symbol into a tree outside Cazador's childhood home. It was their code, a mark only the two of them knew, a sign meaning, I'm alive, I'm watching, I'm waiting. The last time Cazador saw it was the day Mateo disappeared, the day half their family was killed, the day Cazador swore revenge. But Mateo's body was never found. Rivas touched Cazador's shoulder. Jeffe, if it's really him, Cazador cut him off. If it's him, then we're dealing with more than a kidnapping. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Rivas nodded solemnly. Then we're dealing with a resurrection. Cazador scanned the hills. The fog pressed in, shifting like something alive. Sophia spoke again, barely audible. What does he want with me? Cazador knelt so he could look her in the eyes. You are the reason I'm going to find your mother, he said. And you are the reason no one, not Mateo, not anyone is ever going to touch you. She blinked quickly, tears forming again. Promise? I don't break promises. He lifted her into the truck and buckled her in himself. Rivas slid into the passenger seat. His men climbed into the second truck behind them. Engines hummed to life, rumbling through the mountains. Where are we going? Rivas asked. Back to the compound, Cazador said. I need intel. I need maps. And I need to know every ghost who's moved in these hills in the last 5 years. Rivas nodded. And the girl? She stays with me, Cazador said. From now on. Sophia exhaled slowly, as if those words alone let her breathe again. But as the convoy rolled down the narrow road, Cazador kept glancing at the rearview mirror. The fog behind them shifted, moved, thickened, like someone or something was following. He rolled down the window, listening. Rivas stiffened. What is it? Cazador whispered, barely audible. He's watching us. Rivas's hand dropped to his gun. Sophia curled against her seat, trembling. The mountains swallowed them whole, the road twisting into darkness. Somewhere far behind, unseen in the fog, a man's voice whispered into a second radio. He found the mark. Good. A low, satisfied laugh followed. Now the real game begins.